So that should give us sound. Have you logged on yet?
Yes.
Okay. So that should give us sound.
There we go.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Have you logged on yet? Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Well, there's a little bit of a lag.
There.
Just a little bit.
That's why we watch it the way we do. Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. We are here and we have sound. Woohoo! Welcome back to another WCN Live here in the Wilson County News Break Room. We are on episode 179 today, and we are going to be talking with Amy from Be Grateful, and we're going to tell you all about that. But first, welcome you back again, and want to thank our sponsor, Price Chrysler Dodge Ram and Jeep here in Floresville. They are located on 181. They have a huge dealership where you can shop for cars and even careers, and a huge service department. So show them some love, give them a like. They're mentioned in the comment in the description of this video. And be sure to get over there and check them out. They have a brand new facility. It's really great, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much, Price. Next, we are going to draw a winner. So every week when we have this Facebook Live conversation, we invite you to post a comment, say hi, smiley face, anything, but give a comment in our video, and your name will be entered into a drawing, and we will draw you the next week. So these, if you could draw us a winner, these are last week's people who commented.
Got to make sure they get good
Excited.
stirred up. Da-da-da-da! Do I get to read it, or?
You can? Go
All
ahead.
right. I hope I don't butcher this name. Ooh. Crystal
Manti.
Congratulations,
You're the
Crystal.
winner!
Awesome. Yeah, so she will win a C Street gift shop gift bag. So we will be
Nice.
contacting you, reaching out through Facebook Messenger. Crystal, congratulations. And I just realized we didn't introduce ourselves, so I think I introduced Amy, but my name is Kristen Weaver. I am Director of Operations. Thank you for joining us today, and we have
Brandy Hawkins, Customer Service Representative. And
And-
again, it's Amy.
Amy. Say your last name?
Amy DeBolt
Amy
from Be
DeBolt.
Grateful Farm, Mercantile.
Wonderful. And that's what we're going to start with, and let's go ahead and kick off this conversation.
Oh, I see we already answered number one.
Exactly. So, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, Amy, and where you're from, and what you do with Be Grateful.
So originally, I'm from Indiana. My husband and I, kind of like high school sweethearts, from a small town called Indiana. That's the state. Sorry, a little nervous, people. Columbia City, Indiana. It's a little tiny town. Like when we were growing up, it was like 6,000 people. He was raised on a dairy farm. I was raised on a farm. Crops, like out in the middle of nowhere. I grew up on a dirt road. So Floresville, out where we live off of 536, like way out. Takes us like 10 minutes to get to 105 to the road, depending on who's driving. If I do, it's a little quicker, but
I know the area.
what do I do with Be Grateful? Oh my goodness. So, at Be Grateful Farm Mercantile, so I really, it's kind of just naturally evolved to what it is. When we first moved here to Floresville, we would stalk the downtown, and walk the blocks and just admire, the downtown, the beautiful structures, the architecture, and just, I had a heart, like immediately had a heart. And we would stop and we'd pray over certain buildings, like, oh, if it be your will, Lord, like, let this place open up. And because the thing I've noticed, I think when you live in a place forever, you just kind of get used to things, but, kind of coming in and it's like, well, why is this place empty?
Right.
It's a beautiful place, and, I think if families don't want to sell, at least let the building have new life.
Right.
And so we were doing farmers markets because, so my husband, we take care of bees. And so, of course, we have honey, but I do like all natural bee wax products. I have autoimmune issues. And so I had started I couldn't find products that were clean, and I needed deodorant, I needed lotion, I needed all the things. And so it evolved, and I was just making them for me. I would give them out as gifts, and people were like, oh, you should, like my lotion bar, that's one of my OGs.
this.
Yeah, oh, you should make these and sell them. And I go, oh, I ain't got no time for that.
Really?
Because I was going to college at the time, too. And as an older person in college, it takes all your brain power, for real. And I was like, I ain't got no time for that. Oh, here we are. So we were doing farmers markets, and, you just get to see what other people do really well.
Yeah.
And I would just start going to talk to people. I'm like, what would you think about when I get my store? And here I am talking like, this is going to happen.
Right.
A lot of people probably looked at me like, yeah, right. Because we literally did our first farmer's market in March. And that was over in Casterville because there was a store that carried my products over there.
Okay.
Because they're kind of not as, like local products, local Texas, and so she carried my stores and I kind of learned about Decot Farms. It was a really cool farmer's market that was at a farm and got to meet some really cool people. And here we are, and it's only November, and I know we opened in October. Right. Oops, I accidentally answered another question. But, I can't believe how fast it's happened.
What made you choose bees? I mean, that was something you already knew back out of state, or?
No.
Right?
No.
I feel like, so it was, because I remember meeting you, and it wasn't this year, so it was 2022?
Yeah, as shoppers, we were there just shopping.
Yeah, you were there at shopping at the South Texas Home and Garden show. That's where I first met you. So yeah, you have moved pretty quickly, but so what brought you to bees?
Well, so like I said, I'm just kind of
you
do this so naturally, but so we were in the military. Like, bees weren't on my radar. I was a personal trainer working at the gyms and on base, we were transferred. We were given orders, just kind of do what you're supposed to do. And my whole family was stationed overseas, and we were there a few months. I remember unpacking like our last box and like, woohoo, here we are. Because when you move overseas, it's like quite the process of getting housing. And so we were living in hotels for a long time and out of suitcases. So when we finally got our house, it was like, yay. And so anywho's, my husband was involved in a really bad accident and almost killed him. And when he was able to be stabilized, the brain swelling went down. They couldn't, because we were in Sicily. And that's like the little, down below the boot of Italy. They didn't have hospitals for his long-term rehab.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And so when he was stable enough, then they moved him to Germany, and then he went to Walter Reed in Bethesda, and that's where he spent months upon months. Came out of the coma, and just had surgeries like every other day because he ended up getting we probably think it was from overseas, a gram-negative infection in the bone, and they just had to rebuild everything because he was just really messed up in his brain injury. So we spent many months up there living out of suitcases and living in the hospital. And we have daughters that were in school.
I was thinking about your family.
It was rough. It was just because they weren't in school. We didn't have a car. Our stuff was all overseas.
Right.
So we just lived on little Bethesda, It was like they didn't have a grocery store. Like I'm used to bases having a grocery store. No grocery store. So we would take public transport. I forget what you do. It's this thing where you go underground and you ride.
Oh, yeah.
It's like big cities have it.
Subways.
It's kind of like a subway. They would call that New York, but they call it something else in, in Washington, D.C.
Like
yeah. Oh, my gosh, that was crazy. So we'd take that to get around, My husband would just stay in the hospital.
Right.
He didn't go nowhere. And then that's what brought us to San Antonio, is once he was, for his long-term rehab, there were 5 polytrauma units that we could pick. And I wanted to go to Tampa. No offense, I'm just being honest here. Because I loved Florida. We were stationed in Pensacola. Love the water. And but my husband wanted to come. San Antonio was one of them because he knew he couldn't be up there because he's just full of metal. Because some of them were up north. And San Antonio, Texas was on the list, and he said, "I'm going to Texas to be a cowboy." And I said, "Okay."
I love that.
And
a lot of people do that.
I was like, "Okay,"
Sure.
I was like, "Okay," and that's where the bees came from. I don't know if it was. I think it was at that hospital or as he was getting out of the hospital. He, because he couldn't, with the brain injury, he didn't watch TV, didn't use a phone, didn't, that stuff was just too much. And bees. I started talking about bees, and I'm like, what? Talking about.
He thought of it.
Yeah, oh yeah, this is all his thing. And then I don't know if when he was able to start using an iPad or something, someone brought him something to. And I remember him watching bee videos and talking about keeping bees. I'm like, okay, of course. Once again, whatever you want to do, honey. And so as we came down to San Antonio, he was at Audie Murphy, and that's where he learned to walk, and they did all that rehab. And so then, of course, we bought a house in the suburbs, so it was close to. The Center for the Intrepid is there at Fort Sam. And that's where they work with people to walk and rehab, and they work with a lot of people that have prosthetics. They've been, amputees. Well, what they did to my husband's leg, instead of amputating it, they did many surgeries where they took stuff from this leg, put on that leg, and you can tell, when he wears shorts, you're like, whoa, what happened to you, guy? Some people do ask, and some people just gawk, but it looked funny, like, what happened there? So we were going back and forth for 2 years, but we started keeping our first hives in 2018. So that's where the date comes there, it's kind of when we started with the bees.
In the suburbs.
Yes. Yeah, our urban beekeeping adventures.
Awesome.
I think we got up to 9 hives there. And one day I see my neighbor, because, your backyard, we've got a neighbor there, you got a neighbor there, you got a neighbor there. And I see this neighbor climbing this tree. And I'm like, it was not a climbing tree, okay? It was like very flimsy, like it wasn't an oak, it was not a climbing tree. And you see him with his cell phone, and I was like, I bet our hives were just on the other side of that. He was taking pictures of the hives.
Oh, like fascinated? Or...
or ... or because, so about a month later, we got a thing from the HOA. It was probably maybe 2 months later, because they take a long time with things. And saying, move your bees and your bee equipment. And but we had already bought the property.
Already looking toward the
We had
future.
already bought, out here outside of Floresville. And so it was like, okay, no problem. We got the place. And it was really the best thing. The bees got to go there first because we didn't buy a farm. We bought land, and that's kind of very different. There was no well.
Right.
There was no electricity. Right. And when you lack this thing called money, you do things slowly and you do things yourself. So like when we brought power in, Caleb rented because first I saw God repair his body, and then I saw him repair his heart. And that's why people can meet him now and they'd be like, they would never know like where we had been like 6 years ago. And so, yeah.
Turn your life around.
For sure, and so we moved the bees out there and they got to be out there, but then it took time to get electricity because we weren't going to like totally, I can rough it, but I need water. Sure. And, I need to like,
bees are cool.
And because there was a tank. I don't know why people call them a tank when it's a pond. It's a small pond in the ground. I know. I call them tanks now too, but we were like,
don't understand either.
we're like, so there was a small pond or tank, forgive me, that they could, but now we provide them since we have water with many stock tanks. Sure. See, no, a stock tank, that makes sense because it's above the ground, it's a tank, Yeah, so, but I guess I had someone explain it to me and it made sense. A tank is for livestock. A pond is for play, fishing and leisure. And I'm like,
I could see that.
Okay. I get it.
That's how it was explained to me.
Yeah.
Like,
But when we're looking for land and they're like, it has a tank on it, and I'm like, really? Like World War One?
Yeah.
Like what kind of tank? What air is that from?
I get that.
Yeah, very interesting. But so then Caleb and I didn't move down to the farm officially because we don't have a house there. So we brought because our house we still own in Converse, in that suburb because we have a daughter in college, and their lives were so disrupted with the whole being in so many high schools and being out of school and just for years. Yeah, let her finish and like, what do you want to do then? But so we still have that place. And so we have an RV out at the farm. But trust me, RVs are expensive. And like I said, when you lack this thing called money, you do things the hard way. Or you use a lot of elbow grease. Yeah. And so we bought this whole package. And I remember looking online, like on Facebook, right, on Marketplace. And we're like, well, what do you think of this one? And we're like, oh, I mean, usually pictures are better than what it is in person, right? No, not this one. It was so bad, we're like, oh, that's crap. Like, let's not look at this one. It is so bad. Like, no, that's too much work. That's one we bought. Because all the other ones we went to look at and it was like, oh, this is bad.
Right.
Oh, this
like,
needs.
Might as well get the real thing.
Yeah, you know, and it was big. You know, it's a fifth wheel. It has slides, and so it got gutted and redone. But that took
You
time.
can do stuff with that.
Yes, Caleb is very handy with things. There's still things that need done, like just let me put this out there. If you ever buy one of those RV ports and you think you're getting a good deal, no, to put one of those back up, you need to hire somebody because it's so tall. The pieces of metal are like 36 foot long. What? Yeah, you need special equipment.
Yeah.
So that is not done. But the RV is really nice.
Cool.
So yeah.
Okay.
Finally. Which I made a reel on that too. Like part 1, part 2, part 3.
Right. That would be
On my
fun
social
to
media.
watch. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can definitely find them on social media. We'll be sharing that in a little bit. So that's how we have bees, and that's how you have the farm.
Yes.
So then, for a time, you were doing the markets.
Yes.
You said only since just this past March.
This
Right?
whole year.
Just this year.
I mean,
Been
we
doing
were
markets and
hammering it. Like, every weekend we'd be doing them. And like I said, we were doing Casterville. We did Cibolo, because Cibolo had one every Thursday. And so that allows us to do Thursday and do a Saturday market. Sometimes we'd do a Sunday one. They would do it at Cactus Land. They're in Atkins, / I think that's the official area it's at. And like I said,
And of course,
getting to meet
Floresville.
Floresville all the
Every-
time, because we have the one on the third weekend that's at Hilton Park, and then the second one on the square now.
That would
Yeah.
be pretty busy keeping up with all those schedules.
We would do Lavernia, yes.
Yes.
And in the summer, so that was one of the reasons I saw a need for it, is like, well, actually in the spring, we had a lot of rain. I know people don't remember, but we did. We had a lot of rain. It was a beautiful spring. Our bees were loving it. Like the wildflowers I've nursed, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it's the best spring I've seen. Now, I've only been here since 2017, but it
was pretty good.
was amazing. But it was really wet, and so like farmers markets were called off, and so people that did those markets were missing out on that. And then in the summer, sometimes they were canceled due to heat.
Yeah.
And then even if they weren't canceled, some people just couldn't do it because their products are sensitive. And when it's 110,
It's a big factor.
whew, yeah. So I saw that need. It was like, what if, we could bring all of these people, that want to partake. And because anyone I work with, I want them to be excited. I don't know if you've noticed, I'm kind of an excitable person. And I'm passionate about what I do. I'm passionate about people. And I want other people to be, excited, to work with me. Of course, you don't have to be rah, KK, woo. But, if you want to work, if you don't, that's okay. Go do something else. that's all right.
Welcoming.
Yes.
You want to share.
And so that's where the need, and I would hear, like, the reason the food really came into play, I know it's hard to categorize, like, what is your store? But really, I'm like, that's why it's called a Mercantile, because, and like,
You're open
local. I know I'm really dating myself, but I grew up watching Little House on the Prairie. And Mrs. Olson was, the Olsons, okay? Like, the Olsons had money. But they had the Mercantile. And she would buy eggs, and that's what I do. I let my farmers, the people I work with, they set their prices. I don't tell them what I'm going to pay them. So everybody is paid fairly. They tell me what they're, want. I pay just as much for brown eggs as I do for white eggs. And if you've ever, a lot of people don't understand that. But Mrs. Olson paid Caroline a cent less for brown eggs.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. So now everybody's got to go look that up. But I don't do that.
Cool.
So that's the need for the local produce, at farmers markets also. When you are selling your produce, your farm goods, you need to sell abundantly, because of course you want to provide to your local community, but you do have bills to pay, and so even if you're local and you're selling somewhere else, I can be your...
So your story, as for wanting to have the business and the storefront, was you were seeing that happening in the markets, in the farmers markets, giving them a space where they can consistently have product.
Yes.
All the time.
6 days a week. I'm closed Sundays.
Yeah.
And then that was heated and cooled, and because people, it gets hot, and I mean, farmers markets only last till 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and then you're done. And it's very weather-based.
Well, I think that's great. That's
So-
very exciting.
And then when you're only doing one thing, if you're just but
Yeah.
I mean, no, I love it. I love people, because you cannot do everything well, and that's why, collaboration and partnership with other people that, like, this is what they do well. So that's why they're here. That's why, but when you're doing one thing, it usually cannot support the cost of it, because people don't realize, like,
things in order to
how expensive just these, just to have the space up
brick
and
and
running.
mortar.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it is.
Well, Floresville is just blessed to have you.
Oh, we're blessed to be here.
Well, I guess that leads us to a good right here. Let's talk about the type of products that you do carry, so people, they haven't yet visited you. You've been there just a few months, basically, right?
6 weeks.
Just
6 weeks. Yeah.
Sorry for yelling in the microphone.
Oh,
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
no,
I'm probably super loud. We probably should have put that
Okay.
a little
But
further away.
Only 6 weeks you've been there, so I'm
Yeah.
sure there's many who've not yet explored to see that you're there. So tell us what kind of products we would walk into and find.
All right. Well, you walk in, and kind of on the right side is like
And
our food.
So also, let's say where you're located.
Oh.
You're downtown Floresville.
Yes.
Okay, on
Third-
3rd Street.
So as you're coming in on C Street, you're at the courthouses on the left. Turn right on 3rd Street. You can't miss the sign. It's bright yellow. It has the bee. Yeah. And it's really quite noticeable. You're like, there it
Kind of
is.
middle of the block, sort of.
Yes.
On the left. Great.
It's super cute space. Like, it's so historic.
It
Like,
is.
oh, I didn't even tell you how we found the place. Because remember I was saying how hard it was to find this
Yes,
place?
and you were
All
praying
right.
over the building.
Yes. Well, we were fixated on a certain one, okay? And then God was like, no, that's not for you. And then I got fixated on another one. And it was like, no, that's not for you. Then we took a trip up to Indiana to see our family. Because we have no family here. Except for the family that's embraced us here. Customers and people have become
has
our...
become your
yes.
family.
And... I would go shopping. We like to look for antiques, and I bet, this is going to go in my store. Oh, this is going to go in my store. Oh,
Store.
yes. And my family's like, oh, she's crazy. You know what I mean? And so as we were coming back, this was in July, very early July, I think like July 5th, because we had a farmer's market. We had to have the Floresville market to get down to by the 8th. And so I got an email from Shirley from the home marketplace. And so if you know where the home marketplace is, that's where we're at. And she had emailed me and said she heard I was looking for a space. Because, like, sometimes when you have a dream, you keep that lid on it, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to keep that shut because I don't want anyone to know, because what if it doesn't happen? So that way no one knows about it. That way I don't look like a failure. Well, I really felt the Lord put it on our heart, so we started sharing with people my vision of what I saw that the Mercantile could be.
Right.
And I said, but we need a place. Well, one of our customers, who are actually really good friends now, we're friends with Shirley, talked to Shirley, and then, like I said, Shirley messaged us, and here this beautiful historic place is now our home.
Yeah, it is a beautiful building.
So like I said,
That's
I was
fantastic.
fixated on this, but God's like, nah, I got something better for you. Like, I was looking at decaf, and he was like, no, here's full throttle. I'm sorry for those that like decaf. It's okay. But
Brandy, while we're talking, can you comment and post the actual address for her store? Yeah, and we'll tell you.
so now I will answer your question about
The kind of
products.
products
Yes.
that we
So as you
find.
walk into our quaint little place, to the right is like dry goods and foods. So right now, you walk in and like I said, to the right is, so we do local coffee. So I've got a couple different, because it's America. I like choice, right? Texas, but they're all local people,
Wonderful.
so we carry about 3 different types of coffee that are all locally. Of course, coffee beans are not grown in Texas, okay? This is not the climate that for the best, but they're roasted locally and by people that are really passionate about
Exactly.
coffee. So we got coffee, fresh milled flour. So when I say fresh milled flour, I'm talking like organic wheat berries that are ground, and so milled fresh. And then I'm trying to make, honey, creamed honey, pollen, And then you
Are
go.
those specifically your products?
Oh yeah. There's.
For
Mhm.
the most part on the honey and the
Yes.
bee
Oh,
stuff?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Anything with this logo. That's why I tell everybody,
That's
like
gonna be
I've
yours,
got.
and you did it well.
Yes, that keeps me very busy.
Mm-hmm.
I usually have an apron on because I'm making honey sourdough bread. I did not see that happen, and like I'm serious. And as you keep going, like I said, shelving is dry goods. Usually I'm sold out of beef jerky. See, that happens, as you do local, because I'm not about.
Some things may come and go.
Yes.
Or seasonal.
And as like little piggy goes to the market or as beef goes to the market,
Yeah. You might become sparse with some items.
Yes.
Yep.
And then our big refrigerator, we are down to one refrigerator. Hallelujah. So everything's right in one spot now. So we've got duck eggs, chicken eggs, all free range, lovely, cared for poultry. I've got different salsas, queso, guacamole, all by a local. It comes every week and refreshed. Super delicious. We do Volman's milk because they're family owned and operated, and they do it in glass bottles, and they will work with little people like me.
Oh, sweet.
We do Labat Acres, like she just brought in some fresh greens and turnips. Those are in there. And then we've got, it's so funny because I'm like picturing it, right? And then we got microgreens from Know and Grow, which they're here in Floresville. A lot of people don't know microgreens, but they're awesome. Like they're super nutritious, yet they're very tender and tasty, whereas not all greens are the same, So my husband approves, like we can just eat them, and so I didn't expect to love microgreens as much as I do, but I do. I love them. They're so good. And now that we've got the big refrigeration, we're going to be expanding to other things, like goat cheeses and those products, maybe, so things are coming. And then in the middle, we've got like crocheted items, and then we've got all natural products are all in one area. As you come around, then we've got, and actually things are changing. We come in, there's like a lady that does local shirts, aprons. In the back, we just added cattle panel last night. We were there till like 9 o'clock putting up cattle panel. For wreaths. So I have a wreath lady that's come in, starting to get that holiday vibe. 'Cause I am not Walmart, okay? I'm not going to hammer you with Christmas in like July or September, okay? And then we got bee supplies. So over here, we're starting to get bee supplies, like smokers and protective gear. And soon we'll have woodware and all that stuff for the beekeepers. Yes. And trying to think of pottery, woodware, and then today I have a gentleman that he does hand forged knives. Beautiful items. So he's coming in today. And then we've got candles and wax wares, like that's like her art. Right there, we've got different people that are coming in. Right now, I think I've counted maybe like I'm working with about 25 different people, and there's more to come. So, like I said, we're at week 6. So, because my thing is, I'm not one of the big stores. You don't have to sign a contract to pump out 200 boards a month. It's like whatever you can put in, and that's why I tell people like as little or as much as you want to do, because I want it to be a blessing, not a curse. So, because, some people, I've seen people sign contracts with larger companies and then they're super stressed about meeting these deadlines. It's like, that's not how I work. So.
That's amazing. Very good.
Oh, and stained glass is in the windows too. Yeah, those aren't just decorations. There's stained glass. Oh, we got a bunch of big, like 7-foot horns. Longhorns that kind of decorate, and like cow skulls. Those are not just decorations; they are for sale. So, locally done, and they're super cool. I have one on my bread cart. He brought me, and it's about that big, and I put it on my bread cart. Although my bread cart doesn't see a whole lot of action. It usually just kind of sells as it.
It's usually empty.
Yeah, and then people are like, "What is this thing?" I'm like, "Oh, that's a bread cart." You mess with the bowl, and it has wheels, and I'm like, "You mess with the bowl, you get the horns."
It sounds fun.
Embrace
Sounds really
Texan
great.
culture there for sure.
I was made for this.
Are there any comments that you want to share with anybody?
There's a lot of, we visited, that you're so sweet, your husband is sweet, great products. That was from Valerie.
Thanks, Valerie.
Yeah, they've seen the sign. They need to check it out. And I think I saw the sign probably like 2 or 3 months before you actually opened. So I was like, okay, why is there a sign and there's nobody opened? What?
Because they had their doors open. They were just building.
Yeah, that's right.
Sweet.
And I did have a question. You said you made homemade, or you did homemade honey products. Can you explain some of that, what you have available that you've created?
Oh,
that
okay.
You have for sale.
So my natural products don't necessarily have honey. I do have a honey note soap
Okay.
that has honey, but my base is beeswax.
Okay.
So for hair pomade, beard conditioning balm, soaps, because beeswax is very it's good for your skin. It's high in vitamin A. It's healing. So my lip balm, people that try the lip balm just love it. And actually, some people just use it like a salve. You get a cut, put it on there. My lotion bars, they have a very high percentage of beeswax. And so those are really great. They prevent chafe, which is wonderful. And, it's very hot here most of the time. So I've heard it's very popular with the UPS drivers and people that are constantly, moving and grooving. Yeah.
Awesome.
And then honey sourdough. So my honey sourdough bread has kind of taken on a life of its own.
Which means that some people may find it in other places.
Oh, yes.
A life of its own.
Yes. So those that follow me on social media know that RX Goods and Bistro has started carrying it because she expanded her menu, I think, 2 weeks ago officially. And she's having really good response. So it's one of the options that you can have her sandwiches, because she does soups and sandwiches now and salad. And so you could have the honey sourdough as an option.
Very cool.
So she's keeping me busy.
And she's just down the street.
Yes,
right?
that's what everyone's like, where is it? And I'm like, just keep going. Go to Pecan Park, and it's right there.
White building, right?
Yes.
On the side of Pecan Park. Very nice.
And your bread is cooling, Roseanne.
Sweet. So is there anything beyond that? You said, you're such a resource for these small businesses that are local grown products. Do you do anything like host classes or offer any other services? Anything like that, or something for the future that you're thinking of?
So yeah, that's always been a vision of ours, because we've taught beekeeping classes, but we didn't have the space, so we would do traveling ones. So we have an observation hive, and those are always good to bring because people see the actual hive, and we talk about the inner workings of the hive. But so we've done them, like I said, in different locations. But now that we have our own location, yes. And we figured we'll start introducing classes, and not just beekeeping classes, but homesteading classes. I get asked all the time about sourdough. And my class would be sourdough simplified. I'm a simple lady, and if I can do it, you can do it, okay?
Cool.
That's all I'm saying. I mean, it is. Because I feel like you watch YouTube, and I remember when I first started, I was like, what? My mind was blown. I'm like, I am not doing that. I can't do that. That's crazy. Like, what? And yeah. And I never thought I'd be able to make sourdough every single day, because, it's starter based, and, you've got to keep it a certain size. It has to be active. It's temperature sensitive. So we've had to do, but I don't know, I always pray for wisdom and guidance, and so I shift pretty quick, it's like, oh, there's something in the road, oh, go around that, So because this temperature change as it's gotten cooler, and I'm in a very old building, so we've created a little space for for John Boy. That's my starter. John Boy, and then the bread, and for all the bulk fermentation, and for it to rise, and for John Boy to be happy. Yes, he's got a nice warm spot now. Because that was an issue for about a week. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm living here. It's 2:00 in the morning. My bread's not rising. Oh, yeah.
That's wild. What a life.
Yes, but so now it's having this little warm space is it's really helping me stay on track.
That's really something.
Yeah, it's a hoop.
Before I
Did I answer your question?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes. Hours are Monday through Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m.
Yes, but I never close at 6:30.
Okay.
That's a thing and my goal, I think, but if we're there working on something, like I said, I'm usually waiting on bread because I overnight proof it in the refrigerator because that like slows it down. If you were to do it on the counter, it would overproof. It would, yeah, not gonna be good. But it has to get to a certain point before you put it in the fridge, or it will take forever the next day. So I'm there working. The doors are open. You know, the lights are on. We're there.
Yeah.
Why not? You know, because we get a lot of people coming in that are going down to Fluffs, you know, and, you know, they come over and see what's happening, check us out.
Great.
Gotta go visit.
I know. I can't wait to go
Again.
We're always open.
I did visit. You hadn't had near as many items as you were talking about when I went in to visit, but
Did you come in when we were just setting up? Like when we were working and staining? Because there was a time like people were like, whoa, it smells in here. I'm like, well, we were staining, like shelving. And a lot of my people, you know, couldn't be even on the shelves the first day we opened.
Yeah.
And my thing was, I knew it wasn't going to be perfect.
Right.
But if you wait till things are perfect in life,
Right.
you'll never get started.
Right.
And I used to have that mentality when I was younger. I'm not young anymore. I'm serious. Like, I'm so close to 50, it's not even funny. But, you know, I've learned that. You know, I always let that, I'll wait until it's like this. And I knew the store.
Just gotta go out and do it.
We opened it in 1 week. I got the keys. We walked into the place and was like, all right, let's get busy. And then a week later, we were open.
Amazing. Yeah.
Because, you know, I got bills to pay. So, I mean, you're paying for the space regardless. Yeah. Why not be open, you know, and meet some cool people?
Very cool.
Because some people don't come in at 2 o'clock in the p.m. Yeah. You know, they might come in at 7 p.m.
Sure.
7:30. So, yes, that's my official. It's on Facebook. I don't have that anywhere on the doors or anything, so it's just like, we're probably open.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lights are on, we're open.
Might not be bread at 7 p.m. or 6:30 p.m.
Sold out for the day.
Yes,
right?
and I think what I'm going to start doing, I've started taking pre-orders because, like I said, you know, my restaurant, like she will put in an order and I'll make sure. But my thing is, like, if I'm making up 3 loaves, because I don't offer it, I'm not to the public on Mondays, but I'm kind of doing bread on Mondays. Because, you know, she usually will put an order in for Monday, and it's like, if I've got an order for 3, why not do 8? Why not do 10? You know, I don't. Because when I first started making sourdough, I didn't make just 1 loaf. You know, I made 6. And I'm like, I don't know, that's how my crazy brain works.
Everybody
That's why
gets
they're
to
called
enjoy it.
a baker's dozen, right? Because it could be 11 or it could be
13.
16.
Usually my baker's dozen's about 13.
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, someone loved
My
us so much
apologies.
that they just had to call. No.
Well, so is there anything we've left out? I kind of feel like we're approaching the end of this conversation.
Oh, classes. I know we did
classes.
talk about, right, we're getting there. I didn't officially say, after the new year, I was thinking that we would kick off the classes. Let people get through Thanksgiving and Christmas, because it's such a busy time for families, you know, kids and their recitals and just all the things holiday. So I didn't want to try to throw another thing for you to try to do. So I felt like January we would start kicking off all the different classes. And like I said, not just beekeeping, but that would be a great time too, because, you know, you really start your hives in April for those new beekeepers. You know, you start so like in January, but also the homesteading classes, the sourdough, but crochet. You know, I have a lot of really cool people to collaborate with. So canning classes, stained glass. You know, like we could do all kinds of things. You want to make candles, so you know, it's just all about collaboration. You know, like. I don't see things as people as competition. Like, there's room for all of us to succeed. You know, because where in the Bible does it say, oh, only you will be successful? There's only room for that one to be successful. No. You know, like, there's room for all of us to be successful. And that's what I want for everybody that, like, our town. You know what I mean? Like, it's on the edge. Our downtown especially is, like, right there, like, at an awakening. And people really want to start businesses. It's just, they don't know how. And like I said, there's a kind of this disconnect of availability, you know, and the need and the want and the money. Like, it's not cheap. And it would be nice if there was, like I feel like big companies are always incentivized to come to towns. There is no incentives for small business. You just have to drain your retirement, live in a crappy RV, and give it a shot and pray over it. So we were willing to do those type of things to make this happen, and we're loving it.
An incredible story. Can't wait to just see where you are in another week or by the end of the year, and then see what's to come. This is very exciting. So, yeah, we definitely need to get by to your store, which is on 3rd Street in downtown Floresville, and to go for more information. I know you talked about Facebook. Let's let our audience know where they can find you.
On Facebook, we're Be Grateful Farm, and there's a picture of me and my husband. We're like out on a bee rescue. We don't do that anymore because that is a full-time job. Yeah. I do refer. I know people. We'll come get a swarm, though, okay? That's a different thing. But, we used to do that. So there's a picture of us because there is a Be Grateful Farm in a whole nother state. Okay. So make sure you're in Floresville. Okay. And then on Instagram, we'll Be Grateful Farm 1. I had to have that number 1 because someone else had Be Grateful Farm already.
Well, sweet. Yeah. So this has been such a fun conversation with you. I'm so excited that we got to sit down and do this. Was there anything else that you had wanted to mention?
No, that's it. I'm looking forward to coming and trying the sourdough.
Absolutely. We appreciate everybody's comments today. We've had some really great exchange. Thank you for watching, the viewers today, and joining us, even though we've had a few little mishaps with equipment and different things, but sometimes that happens. But thank you so much, Amy. This has been so enjoyable. Thank you all for joining us. Again, thank you to Price, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and Jeep here in Floresville. They are our sponsor for this episode of WCN Live. You can find them on 181. They have a brand new facility. You can shop for so many different cars, shapes and models, as well as careers, and they have a huge service department. So reach out to them. You can find them online at www.pricecdrj.com. Thank you, Price. And that does it for today. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing y'all again next week, this same time, Wednesday at 10 a.m. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here and bringing all your excitement to Floresville.
Boy, I filled that up. That wasn't